Welcome to Kidmin Backstage, the place where we talk about kids ministry and take a peek behind the scenes. We try to share a little bit of what we've learned that works for us and some of our failures so you can avoid them. We release a new episode every Friday, and this is your Backstage Pass to see the magic or disaster that happens behind the scenes of our kids ministry. I'm your host, Gabe Baker, and today I am joined by Brother Kyle Ringeisen.
Hey.
How's it going?
Going well.
Good. Looking sharp, man.
Thank you. My tie and my shirt, not my suit yet. I haven't done the suits yet, but yeah, I feel like I always say this when we get together. I'm tired today. My wife was like, "Are you going to take a nap?" Because I'm sitting in my chair kind of working on stuff, and I was like, "I don't have time to take a nap. I got stuff I got to get done."
Yeah.
So I was working on my website today, so I was just exhausted.
I can relate. I left here an hour ago.
Oh.
I went home, showered, changed into a fresh suit, and came back. So, yeah.
Praise God.
All right. Well, what are we talking about today?
The title for today is What's Your Title? What's
your title? Now, I just did one podcast with Brother Aaron called Job Description.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar vein of thought, but a little bit different. This is a lot more on leadership. And I think John Maxwell said this. We're going to talk a lot about John Maxwell today, probably. But I think he said this, but I think somebody else also said it, and maybe it's attributed to Maxwell. Mm-hmm. But he said it's something like this. Your title walks into the room before you do.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought about that phrase. I wrote it down a while back on my notes. And I thought about it in a couple of different ways. I thought, like, in what we're kind of going to talk about today about position, and I think what he was talking about is your title gets you into the room almost. Yeah. You know, your title gets you there. You're given a position, and then it's up to you to, make something happen with that.
Right.
But kind of like, I think I wrote a note. I don't know if it's on here, but I know I wrote it somewhere. Your title walks into the room before you do, but your character keeps you there.
Yes.
And so, but anyway, I want to talk just really quickly about another side of it that I thought of is sometimes our title or our position walks into the room before we do, and we arrive and there's expectation.
Right.
And so it's almost like we have a responsibility to fulfill that expectation. For sure.
I was thinking of this, and I want to caveat everything we say today with that. As apostolics, we fully believe that we respect the position. So if somebody's in a position of authority, we don't necessarily agree with everything they say in regards to their philosophies in life and personal thoughts and different things. So, like, for example, if you have a general manager or president of a company or the president of the United States, we respect these positions of authority, but we might believe in respecting the positions, but we don't just follow them because they are in that position.
Yeah. Our full authority is the gospel, right. is the Bible. Yeah.
We follow truth in actions. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what jumped out to me was, yes, that position you might have, whatever it is in ministry, whether it be, you might be the pastor of your church, you might be the youth pastor, you might be a lay minister, you might be in charge of music, whatever it is, whatever position title you hold. Before you ever walk into that practice, before you ever even walk into the sanctuary, even in your service, that position commands a certain respect. But
yes,
people are only going to respect you so far as your actions take you. You can't just say, "Well, I'm a youth leader and I can just rest in my youth leadership and not have to actually do anything cool. I don't have to actually read my Bible. I don't have to be respectful in church. I'm the youth leader. Just respect me."
Yeah. And I've seen people. Let me turn this AC off. I forgot to.
Freezing. No, I'm just kidding. It feels great. It's blowing right on me, but it's super loud, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does feel great, and often I'll leave it on, but our mics are pointing towards it this time.
I bet you your mic was picking that up.
Our mobile studios pointed a different direction than normal. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Oh yeah,
and it's usually in immature leaders. They get a title, and it's like this. Some people are salivating for the title.
Yeah.
They want the title. I have found, I say this often in my old age. People are going to think I'm old. I say that so much. I'm not old.
You are older than me. But not by much.
But what I have found I've been blessed or cursed I'm going to say blessed, but I have been in leadership positions since I was very young.
Yeah.
I started working young. And so I think at 16, I was a foreman on a project. And so I've been in leadership positions most of my life. And it's not literally this way, but just to give the example, I think it's more the flip side. The more experience you have, instead of salivating for the title, you're like shunning the title.
Yeah.
There's a bug. I'm about to eat that thing. It's like, hey, do you think you want to be in charge of not really.
Because you know what that title actually requires because you've been there before.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other thing I was just thinking about too while you're talking is like a lot of times people think that as soon as they get to that position, the work is over. They have this misconception. It's like, oh, well, now I've gotten here, I'm good. I can just chill. And it's like, no, and in reality, the hard work actually begins once that position is given to you. Yeah, now it really starts.
Yeah.
You thought it was difficult to get there, but it's much harder after you get there.
Something Patrick Lencioni says I really like is he said that he hates the term servant leadership. He said because it implies that there's any other kind.
That's so funny. I was trying to figure out where you were going to go, where he was going with that. Because when he first started, I was like, man, I took a class that literally was called Apostolic Life and Servant Leadership.
Yes, I love that too. Yeah, and the first time I heard it too, I was like, wait, what? But yeah,
so true.
It implies that there's any other kind because being a leader, you're a servant.
Yeah, 100%.
So I stole this from John Maxwell, but the law of influence is one of the 21 irrefutable laws.
Right.
And so we kind of talked about this already, but the title, it opens the door. It can get you a seat at the table, but it doesn't guarantee a voice that's heard.
Right.
Influence is what turns your presence into impact. And I think it's kind of like what you said, the work that goes into it. There are many, many, many leaders in both business and especially in church that have no title whatsoever.
Right.
I said we were going to talk a lot about John Maxwell on this one. I can't remember what book it is. I've read so many of his, but he talks about when he first, I think it was his first church that he took over, and he like would have board meetings or something. I'm probably going to get some of the story wrong, but basically he had these ideas, but nothing would happen. And he realized everybody deferred to this. I think his name was Claude, this guy named Claude, old farmer or something. So he got some wisdom and went out and visited Claude on the farm. And he got to where he would talk to Claude, and Claude would be like, well, I kind of think we should do thus and such. I kind of think we should do thus and such. So then it came time to the board meeting. John Maxwell would say, hey, I think we should do thus and such. And, and so then he got to, he earned Claude's respect and got to implement ideas,
right.
But it was through Claude.
Yeah.
Because he was the real leader. John Maxwell at the time was just this young whippersnapper who wrote his eyes.
I think that's actually an important point for those that may be just getting into certain positions of leadership. You're going to be leading a certain group of people, and you have to identify the person that group really looks up to. There's always going to be one person that they either are influenced by that person's behavior, or they listen to that person. If that person's doing this, they're going to do it as well. Yeah. And if you can garner the respect and earn the respect and the trustworthiness of that individual, that can go a long ways for the group. And identifying that particular person, I think is pretty important. If you take over a management position in a job, or whether you take over, like, for example, in youth here, there's going to be a person to say, if I can get this person's attention, if I can get them to listen to me, everybody else will follow that person.
I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking is youth ministry. I've been a youth leader for 100 years, and I've said this so many times with youth helpers that we have, is I'll point at a certain individual, young person, and I'll be like, get them on your side. We're about to go on this trip. Get them on your side. Right. You do that, and it's going to help you miles because of their influence. and that's the key. And I want to bring this back to Kidmin for a minute. Is we have, and I don't know, I might have something in here about probably the next point, but we automatically have a title as adult.
Right.
We're a bunch of adults. We have the title adult, and so we automatically have this, this title walks into the room before us.
Right.
In other words, the kids know you got to listen to adults, and they don't always do it well, but they know that's the quote unquote rule. But where we can have the power and the influence is through relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So we immediately have their respect somewhat. I mean, some of the kids that come on the bus, maybe not so much, but we immediately have the respect of the position of you're an adult, you're a teacher, you're on the stage. But for them to really listen to like what we are saying, like I'm talking about lesson type stuff.
Right.
We have to develop a relationship with them. And it's the same thing in business.
Oh, 100%. I mean, especially when it comes to kids ministry, we talk about this all the time. Like everything points to the altar call. I think one quick way, or there's two that I have in mind, but one is that praying with them at the altar.
Yes.
And I think that gets so much respect from them, and they appreciate you so much when you do that with them. Mm-hmm. And the other one I think is in times like worship, when we get up, because I don't know about everybody else, but at least in our singing, when we do the songs here, that it's kind of tends to be fun and goofy. We get around and
like the action songs. Yeah.
And so as a person in kids ministry here, it's like if you get around, and even if you don't know all the motions, like if you get up to next to one of the kids and start trying to goof around and try to do the motions, like they start smiling and laughing, and like I feel like,
especially if you don't know them.
Maybe more, I don't know.
Yeah.
But getting involved with them, I mean, one, it pulls them in to get them involved too.
Yes.
And then it shows them that you really care about what's going on, and you want them to care too. And I wrote down a note. And this is a John Maxwell saying, I'm pretty sure, is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh, yes.
And I think kids, I mean, all people for the most part, but I think kids so much more. And especially when you have a large group, or I know us, it's not as big, but when you have kids coming in from the outside world that are oftentimes around a lot of adults that don't really care too much about them.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make a lot of implications, like maybe there is some that do, but overall a lot of our bus kids come from situations they don't have adults that they are respecting because of a lot of bad behavior, and these adults don't really show them that they care very much. And so if you can get them to recognize how much you truly care about them being there and how much you care about their well-being, I mean, they'll follow you. They'll follow you for no matter what you have them do. They'll be following you till they walk out of here at 12 years old.
Yeah, and there's a weight with that too, because if I think that most people in kids ministry, I mean, hopefully in Sunday school, most people at least care a little bit about kids. I mean, that's why they're there, right? So
I would hope so.
Hopefully. And so the weight of responsibility is that by just, even if you're not stellar at doing what you just talked about, you care. And just that little tiny bit shows up. And then kids now, like you said, will follow you anywhere. Where are you going to lead them? And so we have that weight of responsibility. Because
what we're all trying to do is we're trying to lead these kids to truth and leading them to a relationship with God. And they won't follow you in that path to that relationship if they don't trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, all kids in general, they're trying to gauge whether they can trust you, but especially if you have these kids coming in from an environment where they've never trusted anybody, maybe. I mean, they don't have any reason to trust people. And so it's going to be difficult, and there's going to be some work to it. But that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, another point here is beyond positional leadership. And I wrote this. This is a quote from John Maxwell. The position doesn't make the leader makes the position. And, of course, we've kind of stomped all over this already, but your position or what you do in the church isn't by what, if you have a church email that says your title or a business card or whatever, that's not really what determines. It's funny sometimes, and I'm not saying this to promote myself, but pastor has in a few times in meetings, I'll be in a meeting and I am not a preacher, and I'll be in a meeting with some that are pursuing that in our church, you know? And he'll be like, you're here because this and that and the other, and like, I don't really know why Gabe's here, but I want him here. And so,
well, I think it's because you're involved in everything else. We might as well include you in that too. I mean, pretty soon we're going to have like a ladies group and Gabe's going to be there. I'm like, why is Gabe here? I mean, Gabe's just involved in everything. So, I mean, he's just automatically.
Oh, man.
I was thinking of a few people in this little section here and beyond positional leadership. The first one and foremost for us here at our church is our pastor.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously all of us that believe in the truth in the Bible, we know that word garners a lot of respect and you should follow that man. Mm-hmm. But it can be a lot more difficult to follow a man that's not really living it, and you don't see that,
right.
And also he's not really doing things outside of the church that he should be doing. I mean, I've thankfully never had to deal with that since I started going to church, 14 years ago, but I grew up in non-truth and seeing that kind of stuff happen. And we're just so blessed to have our pastor who he'll preach a message and with 100% certainty, without a doubt in your mind, that what he preaches, he lives every single day.
Yeah.
When nobody's watching, when nobody even sees what's going on. And he doesn't just live this way when people are watching. He's this way all the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I had a note there that actions speak louder than basically louder than words, but actions speak louder. And so that comes directly from our pastor.
100%.
Pastor Burgess is one that, like, in fact, it's funny when people like maybe come to visit our church and they see him up on the platform and he preaches. He's way different in that he's so quiet, or a lot more quiet, off the pulpit, and then people maybe that knew him from before would be would be basically shocked, and so his persona is he's quieter, but he's a man of action. Like he doesn't brag about, we're going to do this and that and the other. He just does it. And then pretty soon you look around like, when did that happen?
I don't think that even people that have been in our church for long periods of time understand how much respect our pastor has in Pentecost in general, and how many people try to get him to like be an evangelist, for example, or like to preach out and preach these big conferences. He's been asked.
Yeah, he does.
I don't want to name drop or anything, but he's been asked several times to preach some fairly popular conferences, and he just doesn't. That's not his thing. He's like, my calling, where I'm supposed to be, is at this church in Chehalis.
Yeah, and he does speak out. Some, but his focus is here, and you can tell. I mean, the way that.
And then the other person I was thinking of, and he mentioned it this morning, was your dad. Man, I got so much respect for your father. He's probably, second to only our pastor, the hardest working person I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man! And last night when exemplified here.
It's great. Last night I left here. I picked up the boys from their drum lesson. They had a later one, so it was like 9:15. And I know he'd been here all day.
Yeah.
Because I drove back and forth past the church a few times and seen him. He was outside driving the golf cart with the little thing behind it, flattening out the rocks and smoothing out rocks for service today, after everybody had already left. All the construction guys that he'd been dealing with all day had long been gone. He was driving around that golf cart with the headlights on just to smooth out the lot, so that all of us today, unbeknownst to most of the people that parked in the lot today, would have a smooth lot to park in if it hadn't been for him staying around. I asked him this morning, what time did you leave last night? He said, I don't know. He said probably after 10 or something like that. And he had been here since probably when the sun came up. And that's why so many people in our church have so much respect for him. Not just because he's so kind and courteous and he's knowledgeable about the Bible and he's able to help you, but he just works so hard, and people reckon, wow, hey, look out. I bet
they might pick that up. But yeah, and that's definitely his actions.
Oh my goodness, man, speak volumes. And it's so exemplified. We're in the middle of a construction project right now, a parking lot project, and it's
it is a good example, and I have a note here: earned, not entitled.
Oh yeah.
You know, real leaders, they don't. I used to joke with somebody that I worked with that used to go to church a long time ago. Unfortunately, they backslid. But we would joke. We worked together a little bit, and I would say, like, there's those people that are like, I'm the leader. I'm the leader. You know, in the back of the line, I'm the leader. Wait up, I'm the leader. Real leaders, they don't demand the respect. They deserve it. They earn it.
Well, and the thing too with him is, like, he doesn't actually have an official, like, title in this church in regards to, like,
not really, no.
But he's known and he's looked at as pretty much second in command to Pastor Burgess, but not officially by title, just because he's earned that respect and position because of his actions over the years since he's been in church, 35, 40, whatever it is.
Yeah, 100 years, something like that.
And I would say a large percentage of our church, if they were asked, would tell you that a lot of one of the big reasons why they are here is because of your dad.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing between him coming up to you and be like, God is good, brother. I mean, he says it to me every single time I see him. And to his Bible study teaching, to meeting with people that, off time for Bible studies, to picking people up off and on. He's had kids in his home that he's partially raised that were not even technically his, that he opened up his home to them so they could stay in our church.
One's a preacher's wife.
Yeah, I mean, just so many different things over the years. And that's all stuff that falls into this earned, not entitled.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care if he has a title. That's the biggest thing, too, about him, is that he could care less what his official position is.
He just does the work.
He just does the work.
Yeah, and that's the key, I think, so much. And I joke and say that I put almost probably too much emphasis on work ethic. And I do think a lot of that comes from our pastor, comes from my father. I started working for him when I was very young. But for one, it bothers me less, and I don't know why it shouldn't really, but it bothers me less now when I see people that are lazy and they don't work. I don't like it, but I just have learned that that's expected. In fact, it's probably the majority of the population, unfortunately. But on the flip side, when I see somebody that works and just jumps in and wants to help, I love that so much. Several weeks ago, we were doing a fundraiser, and it was Saturday night, and I was packing some tables over to the metal building, and it was by myself. I didn't feel bad about it. It was just something needed to be done, so I was just out here doing it. And there was some people here at church. I saw their car. I just thought they were praying or something in the sanctuary. And they came out and they saw me, and I didn't even see them, and I was coming back, and they came running. I'm talking literally running. And these are, two of them are young people, but they're old enough to drive,
Right.
And they're running to help me. And then they help me set up the rest of the tables and chairs. And I mean, what an attitude, that's it's awesome. I love that.
And that's, I mean, but I'm the same way. Where it's like when somebody was willing to do that, I have so much respect for them. And then the thing that ties into this, whole deal that we're talking about today, and that if you want to earn respect of those people that you're leading, they have to see that you're willing to do the work, put in work. We've talked about these few guys, Pastor Burgess, your father, and I would say you're in this category as well, where people in our church in the apostolic realms don't just respect you guys because of the position that you have or because your name. Because I mean, overall, they're not famous names, I would say.
Right.
But
oh yeah, absolutely.
The people that respect you and your father and our pastor do so because of all the work that you guys put in. The fact that you don't just say something, that you actually do it, you back it up with actions. And that's where all this respect came from. And so if you find yourself in a position and you're wondering, like, why am I having such a hard time getting people to follow me? And why are people not respecting me? Well, there might be an issue with your work ethic and whether you're actually willing to get your hands dirty, whether you're willing to get, are you just asking them to do something that you would never do?
Yeah, and that's a good key, man. Yeah. No one asks people to do something you wouldn't
I'll
do.
tell you, as much I love Brother Gabe, but he will never ask me or anybody to do anything that he either hasn't already done 100 times himself, or that he wouldn't do if you weren't there.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And that's, as a leader, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be, leading
comes
from
back
the front.
to that servant leadership.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
So our last point here, as we kind of get close to wrapping up, is people follow the person before the vision. And this is a John C. Maxwell principle. Well, it's probably a biblical principle, really, but John C. Maxwell talks about this a lot. And relationship precedes results. And this is what he talks about, the law of the buy-in. People buy into the person, before they do the vision. And so if you think about this, think about a brand on a brand scale. There are some brands, I read about this in Howard Schultz's book about Starbucks, that they were at a point, this is several years ago, they got to a point where they were so popular that they could basically do anything with a Starbucks brand. And they actually ended up, he talked about, they got off focus, they got off target, and they had to pull things back. But I think, in a positive way, we can become, we talk about this is what the job description was that I did with Aaron, is we were talking about there's so many things that are not listed on the job description that you got to be 100%. And do. And so, but there's people, we talk about this a lot on the podcast. I want to be the kind of person that if the job was given to Brother Gabe, then it's done really well. Yeah. I want that reputation. I want who's clean the bathrooms? Oh, Brother Gabe is supposed to do that. Oh, okay. I don't have to worry about it. Or whatever. And so when we become that persona, that person, we have the relationship, and then it's a lot easier to cast the vision. Right. Or I don't know if that's the right word, cast it, but to have people follow the vision.
Yeah. For example, here, when we do these Sunday school sets, you've already drawn it out, and I don't know if you use AutoCAD or whatever you're using these days.
SketchUp usually.
Yeah. So you've already drawn it out, all the schematics, how like the lengths and widths of everything, and how much material we need. In and outs of pretty much all these projects. And then you're explaining it to us. And I'll be honest, sometimes I have no idea where we're going with this. I'm just like, Brother Gabe said to cut this here and cut that there and do this, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go with it. I don't really see it quite yet where it's going, and then through the process of time, it's like, oh, okay, you start to see the half of it's done. You're like, oh, I can kind of see where we're going with this. But all of us that help out with that, we're following you because we know that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. We may not see it right away, but we respect you for what you've done. And then once we actually see what's like either the final results or even like halfway, you're like, oh man, now I see it.
That's good.
And then that brings you extra motivation, and that's where this respect factor. If you really want somebody to see the vision that you have for your church, for your Sunday school, all these things that we've talked about up to this point is how you're going to get there. And they'll follow you. They may not see it themselves, but you also have a responsibility to help them see it.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, we talked about the kids and being an adult. Well, the respect factor is not, I think people get this twisted sometimes. It's not like, like I said earlier, I'm the leader. It's not about, hey, you better respect me.
No.
That's not it at all. It's the reason that you want people to respect you. One, you just want to live the kind of life and have that reputation, but you are able to influence. Everything rises and falls on leadership, Maxwell says. And so you are able to influence people if you have their respect.
Maybe another good word to use too would be trust. Instead of disrespect.
That's actually good. Yeah, that is a good word to use.
Yeah, because like you were saying, when we see this word respect, sometimes people can get it twisted and think, oh, you're going to respect me, like you're going to, listen to me. And,
you better.
Like you might say with your kids. But But no, we want them to respect us, be respectable. But kind of what we mean about that is we want them to trust us and believe that we're not going to lead them astray or lead them in the wrong direction, and
believe that we have their best interest at heart.
Yeah,
and then also, like you said, like we've been there before, or like you talked about the sets. You've seen it before,
right.
Or you have a track record, and so they're like, okay, I'm on board because. This happens in business too.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm on board because they did something like this before, and it worked. It was successful.
And something just came to my mind too. This is kind of not off topic, but kind of on topic. This is why all of us in the church have a responsibility to reach out to those people that are coming into the church, because everybody has their own testimony. Yes. So, for example, you have someone coming off of the streets, and you've never been homeless, that you've never had an alcohol problem, you have a drug problem. They have a harder time listening to you and saying this is what you should do to get in the right place with God.
Yeah.
But if somebody's come out of that lifestyle and they have a testimony, hey, I used to be homeless. I've been there. I know what you're going through. That can take them a lot further than, say, you that's maybe been in church your whole life. That's a great testimony
that's so
too.
True. Yeah.
But this is just something where all of us have this position, a leadership position, if you want to say, and a responsibility to use the life that God's brought us out of to then lead somebody else in the right direction. Because if they know you've been through what they've been through, they'll have an easier time listening to you than somebody else, right or wrong. I mean, obviously we know, like our pastor, he's never been in that lifestyle either, and people should just listen to what he has to say. But just because of us in our humanity, we have a little bit harder time. Well, he's never really experienced what I've experienced.
Yeah, he can't relate. Yeah.
And so if they know that you can relate to them, that will take them so much further. And so I've talked to the kids before, and recently it's really been on my heart, where I talked in Chep. I was like, listen, I've been you before. I've been 12, 13, 14 years old, and I know what it's like to have the world pulling on you and tugging on you, and I let the world do that to me and take me out and get into this stuff and this lifestyle. And I'm telling you right now, I've done it, I've been there, and it's not worth it. And so I want them to use what I've been through so that they know, like, hey, he knows what it's like to be my age and to feel that tug, that pull, like draw from the world. And he's already experienced what it was like letting the world have control, and he's told me, like, hey, that's not a good way to go, so I'm going to listen to what he has to say.
Let them learn from somebody else's mistakes, not their own.
Right, and that's what the Bible's there for too, is like it says that the word was what happened in the Bible was done for our admonition. It was written for our admonition, so we can learn from their mistakes, their past issues, and we don't have to make those same mistakes again. And so when you're leading kids, adults, youth, whatever it is, there's a lot that they can learn from you, and if they can trust you and know, like, hey, I've been you before, I know what it's like, they'll be more likely to follow what you have to say and listen to you. And relating to them, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do too. Yeah. One thing before we wrap, I wanted to mention this too, is serve before you lead. And this kind of is talking about that servant leadership again. But if you are blessed to get a position, be given a position, say by your pastor or something, use that to serve. Yeah. Go and clean the bathrooms before you ask somebody else to do it. Yeah. Go and that's why you've been given the position. It's not to be the boss.
Show God and your pastor that you appreciate the position by working even harder than you did before.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are at our time, so just a quick recap: the law of influence. A title opens the door, but then you got to, your character keeps you there, and respect is provisional. So it's not positional. Right. And then influence must be earned. Right. And then number 2 is beyond positional leadership. So, you got to have character, and I like that quote again. The position doesn't make the leader makes the position.
Earned, not entitled.
Earned, not entitled. Yeah, actions speak louder than words. And then number 3, people follow the person before the vision, and that's kind of all about relationship. Yep. Relationship and track record, I think.
Just remember, they may not see the vision, so they got to be able to trust you to know that you're leading them in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's a wrap.
All right.